Okay, so first off, the original German isn't easy to understand, which makes the translation difficult, so there's that. I think the number of people who speak fluent German and fluent English and have a deep understanding of Hegel's work, not only his subtleties but also the evolution of his thinking over time, has always been pretty sparse. Add to this that Hegel's ideas are complex, and that he was often coming up with his own language to describe a new concept he was thinking through, and you just end up with some mightily inaccessible philosophical musings. For example, natural consciousness will prove itself to be only knowledge in principle or not real knowledge. Since, however, it immediately takes itself to be the real and genuine knowledge, this pathway has a negative significance for it. What is a realization of the notion of knowledge means for it rather the ruin and overthrow of itself, for on this road it loses its own truth. Because of that, the road can be looked on as the path of doubt, or more properly a highway of despair. For what happens there is not what is usually understood by doubting, a jostling against this or that supposed truth, the outcome of which is again a disappearance in due course of the doubt and a return to the former truth, so that at the end the matter is taken as it was before. I mean, many people would have to read this several times even to comprehend what Hegel was getting at. Add to this that he was often writing in the specific context of ideas framed by other philosophers, Kant, Fichte, Schelling, etc., and often with the assumption of the reader's familiarity with those philosophers, and the already difficult material becomes further abstracted. When you read a famous philosopher's work, you probably didn't read the books that he read already. Unless you do, you won't know what he is building on. It is easier to read him if you take a history of philosophy or intellectual history class first that includes the time period right before him. In addition, he, like many, especially German thinkers, uses language in a unique way, plus you are reading a translation. Translators have to guess how best to say in English what may be clearer in German. Maybe one German word would take 4 English words to say, but that makes it clumsy, so the translator instead picks one word. Take the German word Weltanschauung, which hoity-toity English speakers will use since it technically has crossed over into the English language. There is no equivalent English word, so worldview has to do. With philosophy terms, individual words can have lengthy connotations missed if you are seeing the term for the first time. Right doesn't mean in Hegel what everyday English means. In addition, Hegel uses terms that in the Anglo-American philosophical tradition are sneered at for imprecision or incoherence. Hegel's very philosophy is more of a religious system than anything. It's like asking what the Trinity really means if you never studied early Christianity or thousands of years of theology. Hard. Not impossible. After several semesters with Hegel have spit out, I must admit that are the German classics, a hard nut to crack. The depth of their texts will hardly reveal themselves for autodidacts. Who is serious about studying the classical German philosophers, who should seek professional help? The rise of thinking to the senses is worth it. The phenomenology Hegel is not bad for starters. Who dares first on the logic will throw the whole thing soon. Similar applies to the critique of pure reason Kant. Schelling and Schopenhauer are somewhat easier to understand for starters and opens the categorical understanding. Anyone who has read Kant must not understand Hegel. Kant is a metaphysician, Hegel, however, dialectician. Who wants to work out an understanding of the dialectical method, which can also in the Capital of Marx, in the first volume, 1 Kapitel, Natch of my mind hears with Hegel philosophy and turns into mathematics. We can represent what we think today about the reality only using mathematical methods. He is speculative, so you have to get used to the fact that he works by his own unique and very abstract logic that takes getting used to, as it seems to be detached from any other way of conceiving the world before or after, let alone the common sense way. He also uses new words in different ways to denote different things and gives old concepts totally new meanings and senses. This is made more difficult by translation into English. On top of this, he is pedantic and, aside from sprinkles of glimmering clarity and insight, lacks a sense of style.